This is absolutely massive. Liverpool have agreed a deal worth £60 million to sign Romeo Lavia. This is a massive, massive transfer story because obviously Liverpool need midfielders urgently. So do Chelsea. They're obviously very, very closely linked to the player as well. And Lavia is one of the most exciting young midfielders of his kind in terms of being a defensive midfielder in world football, make no doubt about it. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. In this video, we'll talk about what Lavia means for Liverpool and where Liverpool go this season. Let's just talk about the deal. He's 19 years old. He's so young. It's unbelievable. Came straight out of the City Academy. Played 29 times in the Premier League last season for Southampton. And he was at points so good off the ball. The amount of ground he covered, his work rate was exceptional. And then on the ball, when he gets it, you can tell he's a product of the City Academy. His simplicity on the ball, the way he can just kind of dictate play from side to side. Obviously a defensive midfielder, they're trying to give the ball onto people a bit more talented. But at Southampton, he probably was the most talented midfielder Southampton had. I remember a game at Arsenal, he was absolutely electric. He covered the ground and he actually kept Southampton in the game. A game that they got a result from, if I remember it correctly as well. So for £60 million, Liverpool are obviously spending a lot of money. But if you actually just sort of say, well, you replace Fabinho and Henderson with someone of that age, of that energy, of that kind of higher ceiling for £60 million, you're kind of breaking even. And you've not gone out and spent 150 million quid on Caicedo, which is basically double the fee. I think it's unbelievable business for Liverpool. I think it's really, really exciting. Now, obviously, I watched Chelsea-Liverpool yesterday on the club. And on that stream, obviously, it's only the first game of the season. What can you say? What can you learn about a side within such a short amount of time? But there's one massive, massive issue for me. I love the fact that Jurgen Klopp went to Stamford Bridge and tried to blow Chelsea away. I think he tried to call Pochettino's bluff a little bit with the amount of forward players that were on the pitch for Liverpool. That he was trying to kill Chelsea without having to address his midfield issue. And to be fair to Pochettino, he was able to navigate that. Obviously, they could have won the game, Chelsea. But the big glaring omission in Klopp's system at Stamford Bridge was that midfield system. I don't care what anyone says, Dominic Szoboszlai is not meant to be playing that deep. At points he was tracking back and he pulled a couple of fouls against Chelsea players and you thought a little bit out of his depth positionally. He's not meant to be covering that much ground. Maybe he has to in this new Liverpool system. But the main one for me is Alexis Mac Allister. He was having to do a lot by himself. I thought he was absolutely fantastic, by the way. I thought the way he retained possession, the way he sprayed balls across the park was fantastic. His work rate was amazing. But what happens to Alexis Mac Allister in a big game against Man City, against Arsenal, where Liverpool could get overrun? But then, of course, what happens if Alexis Mac Allister gets injured as well? Liverpool cannot go into the season with just Alexis Mac Allister in that position. If they end up having to play, you know, Curtis Jones deeper, Szoboszlai deeper, Harvey Elliott deeper, it's just not going to work. It's just not going to work in my opinion. So Lavia comes in and is absolutely the right player to play alongside Alexis Mac Allister in a kind of, you say a 2, but it'll be a 3 with Dominic Szoboszlai. And that gives Dominic Szoboszlai a bit more protection as well. And then Lavia can obviously do the hard yards, protecting Trent if he comes into midfield, can rotate with Trent, a bit like how Caicedo did for Brighton, obviously at the back end of last season in De Zerbi's side. So there's so much remit there for Lavia to play anywhere across the midfield. I'm not thinking he'll play, you know, high up the pitch and be expected to get goals. I think he scored one time last season for Southampton. He's a proper defensive midfielder. Think of a Kante. Think maybe more of a kind of Rodri type player. Maybe a little bit less silky on the ball. But positionally, deep in that Liverpool midfield, he will be absolutely fantastic. Mark my words. Last season, again, he had an 87% pass accuracy for a side like Southampton, who were one of the worst sides the Premier League's ever seen. Really flat, had no energy about them. Lavia was the one guy that when he won the ball, he'd win it early, he'd win it aggressively, wouldn't draw many fouls, didn't get sent off last season, only a few yellow cards as well. So he wins the ball smart, he wins the ball fair, he wins it true, and then he gives it simple. 87% pass completion rate is very, very good for a side struggling like Southampton last season. And again, it's that Pep Guardiola effect, whether you like it or not. I'm not trying to be biased. But a lot of these players that come out of the City Academy all play to a certain standard on the ball. And you're seeing that with Lavia. And Liverpool will reap the benefits of a midfielder that is humble, hard-working. He's a player that wants to be there. You never know. If Chelsea had pulled out the Caicedo bid and he'd gone to Liverpool, there could have been a small issue there with him maybe not wanting to play for Liverpool. Obviously, that's crazy in its own right, and for the amount of money that Liverpool did offer for Moises Caicedo, the kind of idea that he turned them down a little bit was crazy. Fair play for Chelsea for getting their man. I'll be talking about that on the channel, obviously, this week as well. That's a massive, massive deal. But Lavia going for £60 million for me actually is more exciting. It's way more interesting. I think he's got a higher ceiling than Caicedo. I know it's an abstract thing to say. Who knows with some of these players? But just seeing, my gut reaction is Lavia has got the capability to be world class. And I just have a bit more confidence about it. Maybe I've seen a bit more of him through the EDS at City, of course. I've seen some games, you know, last season for Southampton where he absolutely dominated the likes of Chelsea and Arsenal for his Southampton side. So I'm confident Liverpool, if they get their man over the line, that this will be the deal that actually gets Liverpool back to where I think they should be. Again, against Chelsea, massive gaps in this midfield, massive issues for me there, and to get £60 million on Caicedo, 50 odd million for Alexis McAllister, which both come to kind of less than Caicedo, I think that makes a lot more sense for Liverpool moving forward. We have to talk about Chelsea. Obviously, they were in for Romeo Lavia. It's a deal that it was a bit crazy that they left it so late to get two of these guys, Caicedo and Lavia. You're talking £165 million. It's a massive statement on what the position in football means to modern managers. Modern managers need players that are hard-working, put their head down. You don't need midfielders like Frank Lampard anymore, Steven Gerrard. They are of a bygone era, in my opinion. You now need midfielders, a lot of these managers, that can just cover the ground. Super athletic, super fit. They cover the ground and give the ball simple. And you're seeing it reflected in the market. I couldn't have said this even 2-3 years ago. For a 19, 20-year-old midfielder who's just been relegated from Southampton, he's a championship player as we're talking, coming from the championship for £60 million. Caicedo, one good season with Brighton, 40 games for Brighton at the highest level, and he's going for over £100 million. Declan Rice is another one as well. Managers need these kind of players to cover the ground and do the hard yards for the whole side so everyone can step up. The centre-backs get protection, the front three can do their thing, and with Lavia, I think he'll unlock the potential of someone like Nunes, Gakpo, Jota. They're all going to have great seasons if Lavia has a great season. Him and Alexis McAllister will be the engine room. They will be the main focal point of what happens to Liverpool this season. If they both stay fit, they both play to their highest level, then I think absolutely Liverpool will be title challengers going into what is the beginning of a brand new Premier League campaign. I think it's an amazing transfer. That's just my opinion. I prefer it far more to Caicedo. I think Lavia has got unbelievable potential. He's got the highest ceiling out of the two, in my opinion. That's just my genuine opinion. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Massive defensive midfielders going for hundreds of millions of pounds. It's absolutely crazy, but that's the world of football that we live in.